So just kicking off, Revizto was fundamentally broke up into 3 different portions. So again, up here, you're going to see the 3D, you're going to see issue tracker, and you're going to see the 2D. Docs is going to be just a mirror of your FTP site. So if you guys are hosted on BIM 360 or Procore Docs, you're going to be able to see these just being mirrored in there. And that basically eliminates the double data entry aspect of trying to get this information, in or uploaded. And as those docs change, they're automatically changed inside of Revizto. So starting off with 3D. So as you can imagine, we're not super creative here. So 3D means 3D. So all of this information in here is your 3D geometry, which is coming in from the design file. One of the things you're going to notice differently if you've been accustomed to 4.9 is the different aspects when you click on a property. You can see everything in here. You can actually favorite the properties that mean something most to you and really highlight those, so those are showing up at the top. We can get into cert sets later and some of the possibilities of isolating objects. We got a couple of treats that we'll kind of leave towards the end, but I think just getting into the fundamental principles of how Revizto is different than most coordination platforms our industry has used in the past is going to make these make a lot more sense towards the end. So 2D is going to be all of our 2D documents. And again, these are coming from your FTP site or wherever you host those construction documents. However, these are not your standard PDFs. So what I mean by that is if we come in and let's just grab maybe our lighting plan. And if I double click on this, it's going to pull up our lighting plan. And you guys are going to see it may appear to be just a standard vector format PDF. However, this is an intelligent document. So what I mean by that is this, this specific lighting plan, when it came from Revit in this case, this has an elevation and XYZ coordinates baked in behind it. That's not lost through the personal document format because Revizto takes all that data into account. So if we select jump to 3D and I click on somewhere in the model, it's going to take us to that area based off of that specific plan. The other thing you're going to notice is that if we show some of these issues that we have filtered in our issue tracker, they're going to populate. So some of these issues may have been created inside of Revit. They may have been created inside of AutoCAD. They may have been created inside of Civil 3D or inside of Revizto, but they're going to all populate in 3D and in 2D because it's locking in those XYZ coordinates. So you're going to hear me talk about XYZ coordinates a lot today. That is a key component of how Revizto functions and how all of our reporting is pulled and how all this data is really collaborated on. So if we click this little green box on the bottom, this is really cool because it's going to overlay that specific drawing with that 3D model. So as we pull, we're going to be able to see exactly where that information falls. So let's jump back here. Let's jump back to our home. And what you guys are going to also see here inside of 2D is it gives us the ability to isolate other, it's going to give us the ability to isolate other 3D or other 2D documents as well that share similar traits to that. So let me give you a quick example of that. So the issue tracker is going to be the third component of inside of Revizto. So let's just jump in here and let's say, okay, hey, this duct is hitting our steel beams here, and we're going to add in a stamp. We're going to say, hey, you know what? We need to let's come into our design review. We need to check this out. We can add that stamp. And as you've noticed, this stamp that we added inside of 3D actually already has a priority set up. It already has a symbol. It already has the specific person it's assigned to, which in this case, it was me. But we can add this to Enrico, and then we can decide to mark this up. So we'll mark this up and say, hey guys, we need to take a look at this, write any kind of notes. Webinar October 22nd, and we'll select done. So when I click this, what we're going to see is this is logged inside of the issue tracker. So here's our design review issue, and we can see all the chat. So again, here in Denver, it's 10:05 a.m. and we can see exactly what's been added. And at 10:06, I added Enrico to this, and then we can see that we made that additional markup as well. So as we start to collaborate on here and say, hey, can we please get this updated and approved with the correct placement of the duct. So I'll add that in there, and you're going to see we can start to collaborate back and forth. Well, maybe Enrico goes in here and says, okay, well, what about over here? You know, we want to take a closer look at this. We'll do something really obnoxious so it shows up in our issue tracker. So you can see at 10:06 what I added versus a minute later, I'm pretending to be Enrico, what Enrico added. So usually this stuff isn't happening over the course of 30 seconds. It's a course of several weeks. And we can really track the life cycle of the issue. So again, this design review issue started today, and then here's everything that's going on with it. And now if we were to come back to a really old issue, we'll pick on Gomez over here. Actually, we'll go to Daniel Buckner. And we can see that, you know, here's a specific issue that's gone. There's been really no chat going on with that. But we can click on some of these, you know, specific issues in here and start to collaborate on them. You've also noticed that spell check is also baked in, which is a huge benefit for somebody like myself that is not a fantastic speller. But you'll notice that that's been a highly requested issue or a highly requested feature that we've also added inside of Revizto. So again, you can see, you know, now I can collaborate with Daniel Buckner, and this issue was created on October 13th. And now we updated this today, and I can come in even in a 2D issue, mark this up further and start to collaborate on it. So because this issue's been created in a 2D environment, it still gives us the ability to see that markup in 2D, but then also jump to the 3D aspect and see that stamp. So and that's all because of the XYZ coordinates that are baked into this. And the same holds true for our 3D issues. So we'll just pick on Dan McKinnon's issue over here that he created in 3D. We can tell he created that in 3D because of that little cube versus this issue over here that was created in 2D with just the square. And when we jump into this, if there is 2D sheets that are added to that, we'll be able to see those listed underneath this 2D box if there's associated sheets that we have uploaded to that. So jumping into our kind of toolbar up here, we're going to go back to 3D. It's going to look a little bit different than what you guys are accustomed to. With 4.9. However, we've sectioned off things that we like to use together. So again, here's all of our issue creation. Here's our stamps. So if we click that, all of our stamps are going to come up in those, you know, recent category versus the folder structure that we have those in, as well as if we close this out, we can go and we can still create our single issue and put that wherever we'd like as well. So we've tried to group these to make features that are commonly used together, located in the same place. So our navigation is a key aspect. So if you guys have seen me speak before, one of my favorite ways to navigate is going to be the map feature. So we'll jump into the map. We can see our specific elevation here on the right side here. And anywhere I'd like to go in here, I just zoom in, double click, and it takes me to that location. We can also use M as the hotkey, and you can see where we're located in the model. So let's just pretend I was flying around the model, and you know, again, we've had this issue in programs like Navisworks where somebody says, "Hey, where are we located right now?" Well, the beauty of this is we just click this map button or M on our keyboard, and it shows us exactly where we are. It shows us our elevation, and as we scroll out, we can understand exactly where we're located in that. Waypoints. So Waypoints is absolutely massive for our folks in the field. We can push these out and make these either personal waypoints, or we can share them with our entire team. So we just named this one hot, cold, or cold water supply. You can see that it keeps the transparency and the profile of the colors to show that, hey, look at this is going to be color coded the way we saved the waypoint at, and now we're not forcing maybe some of our less technical savvy field guys to be able to isolate, you know, water components and the returns and color code them to be able to see what they need. So these are going to be pushed out. So a lot of guys will just throw in, guys or gals will throw in, you know, 1 to 2 waypoints for their field team that is critical for their day or their week of what they may be trying to look at. And then again, we always have our home button on here. so we can navigate back to normal, and it's going to change that transparency back to what we started with. Rooms. So rooms is really, really an awesome aspect because we can actually search by a specific room name that associated or came out of Revit, or we can specify by a specific level that we're looking for something. So let's go to our ground level, and then I want to come into our office 109 or our hallway. And as we click on those features, it's going to take us to that specific location inside of the model. We can also go to name, and we can just type in the name we're looking for. So let's just call it office 121, and we can find that and click on it, and it's going to take us to that XYZ coordinate location of where that office is going to be or is supposed to be. So next, what we have is going to be some of our new features, and I'll walk through a couple of my favorites inside of these. So this is going to be all around parameter and data search, and this is where Revizto really takes it, to the next level. So the issue tracker is the most commonly used feature inside of Revizto. Obviously, the ability to come in here and filter by anything we want in terms of the assignee. So we'll walk through this a little bit and show you kind of how we're going to combine some of these data-driven aspects with the features that are already inside of Revizto. So if I'm looking for Anthony Heller and I want to see issues that are also between, let's say, more than 7 days old, he's doing well. So we'll actually say due in the next, let's say 90 days. Wow, he's doing really well on these issues. So we'll just say ones that have no set date. Yep, there we go. So these issues don't have a set date, and maybe we need to assign him a specific date that he needs to have these done by. We can actually come in here and edit that. But anyways, we have the ability to stack these specific issues with a number of different components. So again, maybe we just want to see issues that have a specific stamp category. And we can add that and say, let's say none of, I don't want to see any issues related to fire protection, electrical, punch list, design issues, and site management. And we're going to filter all those inside of here. But once we've had those issues, what you'll notice is these are only going to be located inside of, these are only the issues located inside of this specific area of the project. So as we click on these, it's going to take us to each of those. What we have not been able to do in the past, and now you have the ability to do that, is identify and create issues based on specific data. So we're going to walk through one of my favorite aspects of 5.0, and that is going to be how we can create multiple issues in a split second, which used to take us literally hours to do. So let's go back to home. And I'm going to come in here and we are going to pick out some kind of component in here. Let's say that we needed to have we needed to verify the location of all of our air terminals. So we're going to select this air terminal and I'm going to check this box right here. And again, you're seeing all this information. And again, I can favorite these. I can find other ones. I can create a search set. I can create a reverse search set. But in this case, I'm just going to create an issue. So let's just say we need somebody to verify that these have been installed properly. Well, this project, we may have 45 or 50 air terminals just on this level that we are looking for. So we can isolate a specific box, find them all within that section box that we created, or we can search our entire project. So what I'll do here is after I've just selected, we're going to look for just the name air terminal. Obviously, we can do this with any of these. If we had a specific, specific parameter we want to search by, we could do that as well. But for simplicity, we're just going to click air terminal. I'm going to come into here and I'm going to say, we are going to find the same properties. And you can see that we actually found 378 items here. So obviously a very, there's a lot of those in these projects. But from here, we can come up and we will just create an issue and we'll say, we need to have a design quality assurance verification. So I'll put that stamp on this one right here. And I'll then add in some notes. Let's confirm these were all installed correctly. And then I'm going to come in and we're going to also add some additional information here. So we'll assign this to, let's see, we're going to pick on Luke Shower and we're going to type in some notes. Actually, you know what? Let's just add a deadline as well to this. So we'll say, hey, you know what, Luke, this really needs to be done by November 12th. Please get right on this. And all right, so we're all good to go with this specific issue right now. So if we look at this, this specific issue, we're going to ensure that we have all these different properties listed inside of these. So if I double click on one of these, it's going to take me to that location. And again, we can see if I press M on my keyboard, it's going to show me the location of that specific issue. So we can see exactly the location of where those are just based off of the search of those specific parameters. Another one that we can do is Googling the model. So let's come into the object tree here, and I'm going to turn this off. And let's just say we want to see cable trays. It's going to search our cable trays, and then I can say, you know what, let's isolate and transparency. And let me just go out so we can see those all. And we can isolate those specific objects. And then maybe, you know what, let's just look at our concrete, and we can just isolate our concrete. And then we can come in and decide, hey, you know what, we want to override that specific color. We want to see where that is in Revit. There's just a number of different things that we can stack upon this. Let's just see our steel, and we can see all of our steel inside of this. The other ability we have as well, based off of just this data aspect, is being able to come in and find specific objects in here and isolate those based off of an area. So let me go back to home. And we're going to scroll back in here. And let's open up the properties on this. And we want to find this specific pipe fitting that has, let's just find our pipe fittings, hit search, create new search set. And now we can, find all. Wow, we got a lot of pipe fittings in here. And then maybe we want to add in a condition and say in this section box. So we can isolate a specific area. So we obviously only have one in this area, but let's just highlight this a little larger. And we can come in, and now we're just finding those specific pipe fittings in that specific section box. Hit done. And we can see just the ones that show up inside of that section box. So there's a lot of different things we can start to stack, with doing this. And now obviously we could then say, okay, let's stack that with the issue creation. We'll come in and say, we need to find all these, mark them up even further, select done, and we'll go back to issue tracker, and it's going to list those 125 and the location of all those. So again, as we double click on them, it's going to take us to each of those, and we can verify exactly where those are inside of the model. So that is some of the power of Revizto with being able to search by data, being able to create those isolated search sets, being able to search by object data. And then not only are we isolating these, but it also gives us the ability to come back, select on this, and say, let's switch back. And that's a switch back to the design platform, whether that's Revit or whether it's ArchiCAD or whether it's CAD MEP, and we can go back and actually make that change and then upload those, where our construction documents are changing, and Revizto is going to reflect those changes. So a lot of cool different aspects of this. We can also load and unload links. That was a big thing as well. So again, if you want to come in here, we can, as you saw, unload links and just see the stuff that's important for us. So those are a few of the big changes inside of Revizto. Revizto 5, we're going to be going through a ton of different other options that we can do. We have appearance profiler. We have, being able to find objects. We have a new reporting system as well. And this is all coming out next week with 5.1. Lastly, I want to touch on one last thing in terms of the issue tracker and setting up these specific templates for the field. And the same thing can be done with search sets. So what you'll notice is if we have, let's just say a specific preset that we have, you'll notice that this little button here, this little 3 cube button, means that it's shared with the field or shared with everybody, including the field. So we'll come in and we're just going to create a specific filter. We're going to say, let's look at issues just created from Anthony Heller, Brett Settles, Dan Buckner, and David Gomez. And let's only see deadline issues that are now overdue. So we got 2 of them. So maybe we want everybody to have this. So we can come in, save filter. We'll name it most important overdue issues. So right now, as we sit, this specific preset that we just created is only visible for me. So if you guys have something that's a one-off, it's the way you guys work, nobody else is going to find value, or you don't want it to be public, you can just create it and it's not going to be shared with anybody. But we obviously have the ability to then make this shared, and now it's going up to the cloud and being pushed down to everybody else. So the field team just comes in, clicks most important overdue issues, and you see all those filters filtered inside of those. So the same function is going to be applied to search sets as well. So let's just jump out of here back to 3D. And if we go in to our search sets, we can see, and actually we don't have any because this is our demo project, but we'd have that same ability to create that search set and then again, use this to push that live. So if it's something that's important or specific things that your field team or somebody maybe that's not as technical or somebody needs it in the field, we push that out there, they sync the iPad, and then they're offline. They don't need the internet connection and they can see all of those. So hopefully that was a good overview of 5.0. I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes and open it up for questions for you guys. So we've got a large group of people on here. So let me take a look at any of the questions. Looks like we got a few already. So one of the questions is, so what is there a thing resolving around clash detection inside of Navisworks that Revizto can't do or maybe is trying to do? Clash detection in Navisworks that Revizto can't do or maybe trying to do. I don't know exactly what the question is around clash detection. So the way clashes work currently is inside of Navisworks, inside of your clash detective inside of Navisworks. When you group those groups are coming over to Revizto. And I don't know if we have any in this side of this demo project here in 5.0. This one's in beta. So let me see if we have any clash issues. We do. So you can see that this specific icon here is our clash issues that are coming in. A lot of these, it looks like they're single clash issues. So if they were grouped inside of Navisworks, similar to when you saw me isolate that doc, there was a number of like 45 here. This is the clashes in the group. Obviously, most people are going to group these before bringing them in. So here's our electrical clash. If we click 3D, it takes us to that inside of Revizto. So there's an API connection with Navisworks. So when you sync those clashes, it's going to be able to push those into Revizto. And then you can also set the status and of how you would like this to be interact with Navisworks. So example is, let's just say we close this issue out inside of Revizto because we solved that. Then we want to then that issue when you resync back to Navisworks is going to be set to resolved. So it's automatically closing it out. So there's a system in place for there's a system and process in place that is something we walk through with our technical team and kind of make sure that you guys understand and it works with your workflow. So there's several different ways, we see clash detection being done. And this is a process that we like to understand what your current process is and then apply the Revizto process to that. That's something that we are working on inside of Revizto, as most of you guys are probably guessing, in terms of the ability to do search sets and isolate objects. We got something really big coming in the next couple of months that we're pretty excited about. So you got to stay tuned on that. But for right now, that is how the clash detection workflow works inside of Revizto. So one of the questions is, can cert sets be imported inside or from Revizto or from Navisworks inside of Revizto? The answer to that is unfortunately no. Partially because so one of the big goals of the client, our clients, one of the big asks is eliminating tech stack. So they, long term in the next, well, when I say long term, in the next several months, they would like to, utilize BIM 360 and use Revizto, not also use Navisworks. So they want to get rid of Navisworks out of their tech stack, not have to do training and support on Navisworks. So the ultimate goal is to be able to do all of this inside of Revizto, and then again be syncing the model live through Forge or through BIM 360, and then also the docs inside of BIM 360. So the short answer to that is no. You would be doing that inside of Revizto. I know that's if you already have your search sets that you're accustomed to inside Navisworks, that's might be a small burden to be able to get those transferred over to how you'd like, but we're more than happy to help, make that as efficient as possible by showing you guys the best way. But the short answer of that is we're trying to eliminate the dependence on Navisworks and allow you guys to work in one platform and collaborate with the other Autodesk platforms that they're actually, spending money on and investing into for the future. So let's see if we got any other questions on here. I'm creating specific installment drawings for the field using existing 2D sheets and so Anthony, I'm not sure if part of your question got cut off, but I think he was asking about the installment drawings for the field and using existing 2D sheets. So yeah, so any of these sheets can be imported inside of Revizto, and even if they're dumb drawings, so they came from AutoCAD where they don't have information, we can actually come in here and you'll notice that there's a setup 3D overlay, and that is designed for dumb documents. So one of the cool things is without doing this in full swing here, we just select the area here and we click remove all overlays, because this one already has data behind it, which I don't want to do. But if it didn't, we would be able to just select the 3 points and align it with the model. And now we never have to replace or do that again with that sheet. So as replacement drawings come in, if a new version of this specific sheet came in, it would have intelligent information with it because we assigned it inside of Revizto. Even if that's coming from a vanilla AutoCAD or something that doesn't have intelligent BIM data behind the plan. That way your field team doesn't know anything different. This information is being relayed back and forth, and we can pull reporting based off a specific quadrant, specific elevation, specific data-driven aspects of the model, even though their workflow doesn't change. So I think that is all the questions that we have right now. I certainly appreciate you guys jumping in here and asking those. If there's anything that you guys would like to see better in terms of these deep dives that'd be more valuable, or critiques on how I'm presenting, or things that would make these more valuable, or if you want to see specific industry aspects, if we wanted to do a electrical one, or if we want to do a do one focused just towards general contractors, or if this overview is being very helpful, certainly we're open to feedback to make these better. And we'll continue to go through some of these 5.0 workflows. What I'm really excited to see is I think once the industry gets their hands on Revizto 5.0, we're going to have functions and ways people are stacking this for workflows that we haven't even came across. We saw that with stamps by the way we created this, and the ability to make it as intuitive as it is, and the possibilities. people find workflows and they'll show us and we're like, wow, we didn't have any intentions of it being used that way. But obviously we don't understand their workflow entirely, and they're able to apply some of these new aspects to improve workflows within their current company. So we really love hearing those and appreciate that. And if there's any feedback you guys have, please feel free to share. I think we got one more question that we'll throw out there. Says, are you looking at greater functionality around 3D 360 photos along the line of what HoloBuilder offers? So I am vaguely familiar with HoloBuilder, but absolutely. So we're doing in 5.1, really excited for you guys to be able to see that. If you guys are not familiar with how Revizto works already, we can actually come in here and add 360 photos in, and we can mark up and draw on those. So also in 5.1, we can measure point clouds, measure markup, section cut. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. And the fact that you can do this on an iPad as well. So everything I showed you guys today can be done on an iPad. So these search sets, we can do that in the field on an iPad. So the iPads have the same exact power and functionality of the platform in obviously a mobile device. So 360 photos, we have a lot of other improvements. We have some VR improvements coming in 5.1 and in our version before the end of the year. So stay tuned with that. But yeah, if there's things that you see with 5.1 next week in terms of 360 photos, we'd love to hear if there's something in there that you guys would like to see or would add value that is not in there already. But we've made a ton of improvements to 360 photos, which was only released, I think earlier this year or maybe late last year. So 360 photos is less than a year old inside of Revizto overall. So we're continuing to build on that platform, and 5.1 is no different. So appreciate the question. But awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys jumping on here, and then hopefully we'll catch you for the next one where we're going to be going through specific 5.0 workflows. But just wanted to give everybody an overview of Revizto as a whole, yet some of the new things that are coming up with 5.1 that will be launched next week. Thanks, guys.